The facts behind the Biden-Harris administration's loss of 300,000 migrant kids. We have a financial mess ahead in the United States. Biden administration's latest illegal immigration scam. This is Dr. David D. Schein for the special episode of Saving America with our weekly update. I will cover the debate in a separate broadcast with my political opposite, Kevin McDonald, in a new show called Unscripted Politics that will premiere on the Brushwood Apple Network Saturday, September 14th. Just wanted to mention, it was no big deal with the debate. Both candidates lied. Harris did not pull a Joe Biden, so her supporters and the slopstream media were ecstatic. It's hard for her to do much past her given statements where she said so many far left wacko things. And of course, she's got the terrible record of the Biden-Harris administration. On the other hand, Trump exaggerated facts and made silly statements like illegals eating people's cats in Illinois. Come on, folks, we can do better than this. Anniversary of 9/11. We Americans are at the highest level of risk since that sad day. In a sad commentary on the state of our uncontrolled borders and failures and lack of morale in our security agencies, experts tell us that we are in more danger now than on that tragic day on September 11th, 2001. I was in Washington, D.C. on 9/11. I was on the west side of the Washington Beltway. I spent 4 hours trying to drive home, about a 20 to 25-minute drive normally. All the while, I was watching a 5-mile-high black plume of smoke rising from the Pentagon. It was a tough day, folks. Mobile phone service was out. I had friends frantically trying to call me since I had taught classes in the Pentagon in the previous year. I was not in the Pentagon, fortunately, on the day the plane hit, but my friends didn't know what my schedule was, so they didn't know that I was not in the Pentagon. Arriving home the rest of the day, every few minutes, news coverage showed over and over again the video of planes hitting the Twin Towers in New York City. The commentators detailed the horrors of people jumping from the high floors of skyscrapers to their death below. Everything was shut down for days. Washington Reagan International Airport was closed for months. And yet we have the Biden-Harris administration that is so concerned about winning votes that they will not refer to them as Islamic terrorists. Their own people say we are less secure. What have they done about it? We've got a financial mess ahead. Home buyers' required down payment hits a record high under the Biden administration of $67,000, according to a recent report from NAR, National Association of Realtors. This translates into a monthly payment required to afford a median price existing single-family home of $2,303. Incredibly, this is 91% more than the $1,206 monthly payment needed in 2021, just 3 years ago. Therefore, a person needs an income of $110,544 to qualify for a mortgage on a median price single-family home, up from $57,888 needed at the end of the Trump administration. And it's worse on the commercial side. This report is actually from the leftist operation Politico, among other sources. Due to working from home, perhaps an overbuilt situation, office space values are crashing in a number of major markets. Commercial loans tend to be on shorter terms, like 5 to 7 years versus 20 to 30 years for a home mortgage. If these loans come due when the values of these buildings are way down due to vacancies and projected demand, this could be a major problem. One report is that in the last 4 months, 7 office properties were sold at a staggering loss of $100 million each. One Midtown Manhattan office building just sold at a 97.5% discount, I guess discount off the projected market value. This could impact $1 trillion in office properties as they come up for loan renewal. One option is to convert some to residential use, but of course, not all buildings can be converted, and even this takes time and lots of money. Mortgage rates tend to float with the federal funds rate. The Federal Reserve began hiking rates about 2 years ago to deal with the record inflation under Biden-Harris. Note that we now have sticky inflation, and I question whether, other than the concern for the upcoming election, that there would be any decrease in the rate at all. Special report in the Daily Signal, among other sources, details the growing tragedy of missing migrant children. I have read estimates of up to 320,000 missing. Speaking as a parent and a grandparent, even one missing child is awful. However, these numbers are stunning. They have become dramatically worse due to the open borders of the Biden-Harris administration. A major concern is the physical and sexual abuse or forced labor of these children who are being illegally trafficked into the U.S. One report mentioned a party in one state has had over 300 children released to just that one party with zero accountability. Over 32,000 minors have failed to appear in court, and, quote, as of May 2024, ICE has not served NTAs, notices to appear, on more than 291,000 unaccompanied children. What is our government up to? What is the Department of Homeland Security up to? Where are these children? Senator Mike Lee, Republican from Utah, told the Daily Signal, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris' utter incompetence to secure a southern border is indistinguishable from federally subsidized human trafficking. Countless children are being harmed by the broken system perpetuated and celebrated by the Democratic Party. They simply do not care because their mission is to erode the sovereignty and voting power of the American citizens, no matter who gets hurt. The bottom line is that the systems in place in the U.S. simply cannot handle the volume of minors coming in. This has allowed the exploitation that has been documented in far too many reports. Harris would up the corporate tax rate to 28%, her campaign says. Some may say this is actually a good headline, that corporations should pay more. The problem is, of course, that the U.S. competes in a world economy. When Trump took office in 2017, the U.S. tax rate was 35%. Trump cut it to 21%, since corporations were both moving their headquarters overseas and holding cash overseas. Following this cut by the Trump administration, $100 billion was brought back into the U.S. and subjected to tax. I note that this has apparently skipped Harris's mind during the debate. Note that most Americans are actually stockholders directly and through retirement savings accounts. Dividends are sent out after corporate taxes are paid. Many retirees are waiting on those dividends to supplement their measly Social Security checks. So increasing corporate taxes is unlikely to help people that Harris ignorantly claims that those are the ones she wants to help. Put me down as opposed to raising the corporate rate. The Biden administration's latest illegal immigration scam. This report's based on work by Simon Hankinson, a senior research fellow in the Border Security and Immigration Center at the Heritage Foundation. He alerted the public to the Biden-Harris parole in place for alien spouses. The current administration is doing all it can to keep illegals here, despite clear immigration laws that require normal application procedures. Parole of illegal aliens into the U.S. under the Immigration and Nationality Act states that parole should be temporary for urgent humanitarian reasons or for significant public benefit of Americans and decided on a case-by-case basis. But the Biden-Harris administration has abused it for whole nations, including Afghans, Ukrainians, Cubans, Haitians, Nicaraguans, and Venezuelans, along with other selected nationalities to enter into the U.S. and receive work authorizations instead of going through the statutory visa process at the U.S. embassies in their home countries. For instance, one penalty which took place from April 1997 is that foreigners who stay in the U.S. illegally for more than 6 months but less than a year are not allowed to return for 3 years. Those who stay here illegally longer than 12 months aren't allowed to return for 10 years. The author refers to this misuse of parole as a scam and concludes with, apparently, such a scam is fine as long as the scam is perpetuated by the government itself. As I've said before, I'm strongly in favor of much easier legal paths to citizenship, but they must follow the law, not walk across the border. A concern for those of us who want the U.S. Justice Department to stop the Democrats' lawfare and provide equal justice is something happening at the Department of Justice. The Daily Caller News Foundation released a special report that the Biden-Harris administration is using a special approach to hire into the Department of Justice before the November 5th election. Part of the report states, hundreds of people, primarily lawyers and judges, have been appointed to the Environmental and Natural Resources, Antitrust, and Immigration Review divisions of the DOJ using its Schedule A hiring authority. Schedule A hiring does not require appointments to be made on the basis of merit. Let me read that again. Scheduling A hiring does not require appointments to be made on the basis of merit. Appointments do not expire at the end of the current president's term, meaning these bureaucrats will stick around even if former President Donald Trump takes office in 2025, according to the Office of Budget and Management. The strategy is that these folks will be loyal to the Biden-Harris cause and will continue on board after 2024. They could serve to frustrate Trump if he is returned to the White House. For instance, the report also claims the DOJ used Schedule A to hire well over 100 immigration judges for its Immigration Review Division. Immigration judges are responsible for deciding whether a non-citizen may remain in the United States. Fraud permeates the Biden-Harris illegal alien sponsorship program. Organizations within the U.S. applied to be financial supporters of the paroled migrants using fake Social Security numbers or those of dead people. Multiple supporter applications came from the same address, email, or phone number, or used the same exact wording. An example mentioned was that nearly 600 financial supporters applied using just one Florida warehouse as an address. Further, there were 3,200 supporters who together applied to bring in a total of 100,000 applicants, or over 30 each. Senator Scott from Florida summarized the report on the Biden-Harris administration's abandonment of the U.S. investment in Afghanistan. Scott stated he and Kamala Harris together made the decision to get this done because they don't care about how many people die. 13 servicemen and women died. It's a disaster. That is not to mention over $80 billion in military hardware and, of course, the strategic Bagram Air Force Base itself. Worse, in the mess of the abandonment, 77,000 were brought to the United States, but of them, only 5,000 were Americans and another 2,500 were special visas. So what about the other 70,000? What kind of vetting was done on them? Did we bring in Taliban in that group? Nobody knows. A new report by the Washington Free Beacon makes some significant claims about best-selling author Robin DiAngelo. She is known for the books White Fragility and Nice Racism. Basically, the books go after white people in general with the pitch that being white automatically makes you an insensitive racist who needs to be reprogrammed. That's my interpretation, of course. The accusations against her that she plagiarized several scholars, including 2 minorities, in her doctoral thesis. As someone who holds a hard-earned doctorate and speaks to my students about the importance of crediting others when cited in their works, I take these accusations very seriously. However, I do not see that any determination has been made yet. Maybe there is an explanation. Thanks for joining us for this special weekly episode of Saving America. This is Dr. David D. Schein. Hey, feel free to subscribe on your favorite media.